The title of today's talk is The Common Unity in Community. Give it up for Camille Conte. Woo! Thank you.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Great to have you out today. Thank you for coming out and experiencing community. And to those watching online, good morning. And to those who will be watching this at another time, I'm so glad you're tuned in today. I want to start with a few definitions, and you can just keep this in your heart and mind as we go forward in our sharing today. So the word unity goes back to the 1300s, and the definition from Merriam-Webster is state or property of being one. Unity is the state or property of being one. In the science of mind, unity means the one back of all things. The word common, shared by, coming from, or done by more than one. So you could just see how gorgeous this word community, common unity is. Community, a feeling of fellowship with others as a result of sharing common attitudes, interests, and goals. And lastly, the law of divine oneness. There are many laws that are worthy of your attention. The law of divine oneness states that everything seen and unseen is connected. And I want you to just allow that to be something you dwell on this morning and in all the days still to come. Because that is where we're at right now in our evolution of humanity. Waking up to this deep and profound truth that everything seen and unseen is connected. So I want to share a story with you today because it's absolutely the truth that this thing we call spirit, love, whatever the word is, absolutely is an intelligence. It absolutely is awake, aware, alive. It's responsive and responding to, through, around, and as us for sure. Because spirit always makes sure that I have a fresh experience of the topic I'm going to talk about, right? So that I am inside like the freshest skin of the topic so I can be as authentic and real as possible. So last Sunday we had the third massive storm, and I was working downtown at the Performing Arts Center, and it was pretty treacherous. And I left the building at around 9 o'clock or so, got to the car, got my brush out and began clearing the snow, and I could see that there was a man across the street walking to the building across from where I was parked, and there was an awning there. And I can see him go under the awning and lay down. So in that moment, exactly, right? Just like right now, my heart just completely burst open, which is always a good thing. So I got back in my car and I thought, oh, this is wrong. This is not right. This is not right. So I'm looking in my car for something, and I find a mat that a friend had given me that I was going to donate, like a yoga mat. So I get that, and there's no one out. And I cross the street, and I do my own check-in, and I get the hit that this is safe. So I announce myself as I'm arriving, sir, I've got something for you. And he kind of, lifts his head, and I said, please, now I'm right there with him. I said, please lift yourself up. Let me get this mat underneath you, right? So he gets up, and I get the mat underneath him, and I'm talking with him now. And I say to him, what has led you to this moment tonight? And he says to me, my wife died 3 years ago, and I gave up hope. So I share that with you because the mind goes out of its way to convince us that it knows why people end up in that situation. And I want to encourage you going forward today that you always challenge your mind as to whether or not that's true. And I asked him what his name was. His name is Paul. So for Paul, it was grief and loss. And we all can understand, certainly I can, how loss can kick you over the edge of life and annihilate your experience of safety and security. And so that was the experience for Paul. And this is why we dehumanize humanity. Because when you dehumanize humanity, The gift of that is you don't have to feel their suffering. And you don't have to feel how you feel as a result of feeling their suffering. And you don't have to feel like you have to do something about it because it's not your problem. The mind jumps in and tries to tell you all the reasons why it's not your problem. If they only did this differently, if they only made another choice about life, they wouldn't be lying on a cold cement sidewalk in a blizzard on a Sunday night. I guarantee you, no baby is born thinking that as a grown man, they're going to end up like that. That's just not the way it works. So now I know who he is, I know his name, and I am taken up by the law of oneness. So I get in the car, and I'm heading to Walgreens. And the visibility is pretty bad. I have the car pointed like in a straight line going up L Street, and I'm just hoping the people to my right and left are also in their own lane because you can't see anything. So I get to Walgreens and I pick up some gloves and warmers and whatever else I can get there. And I drive back down, and of course he's still there. Now I know his name, and I'm crossing the street. Paul, it's me. You know, and he wakes up, and here I am with this man. I'm down with him. I'm in community with him, bound by the law of love and oneness. He is mine to take care of in that moment. I get the gloves on him, I get the warmers on him, I have socks. He doesn't want his, to take his shoes off because he's so cold, right? So he puts the sock under his head as a pillow. And I tell him to pray to his wife, Rose, and ask her to guide him in staying safe tonight. I get in the car, I'm a wreck, right? In all the ways that you should be a wreck in a situation like that. And I call my friend Duke Russell, who's been doing beautiful work in the community with the people who are homeless in the parks, still there. And I just am sobbing. And he reminds me, look, you can only do what you can do. Whatever you're doing, it's still good enough, and you have to get yourself home safely. I hang up the phone, and of course I'm like, yeah, but I can't do that yet. So I go back up the street to cars, and this is not about me. So I'm sharing a story with you. This is not about me. So I go back up to cars, and I get a blanket, and I go back, and I cross the street. Paul, I got to give you one thing. And I do my best to tuck this man in. It took everything I had to leave him. You know what I mean? Like, I just wanted to get him in my car and take him home. But I left. And I drove home, and I got into my home, and I was completely and radically changed, and I still am, bound by the law of oneness, unity, and community. Because I could not have been in a greater expression of community than I was that night. One person. Was I going to heal homelessness? No. And that didn't matter. I wasn't being used in that way. Because you see, at this point in our evolution as spiritual beings, why have we done all that we have done? Why have we read the books, gone to the services, gone to the special guests, taken the education, gone through the spiritual school of hard knocks, if not right now to be the change? We think it's the municipality, but it's not. It's me. I think it's the mayor, but it's not. Turns out it's me. So I'm in my home that night, and I'm giving thanks for the roof over my head, but I can't shake it. He's in me now. I can't stop thinking about Paul. I even look up, what are the elements that make somebody freeze to death? Because we had that headline in the paper that there were 21 people in Anchorage over the course of this year thus far, but mostly in the last couple of months, who have been found frozen to death. That's an appropriate level of anger. Anger does not always equal violence. Sometimes anger gets a bad rap. Anger can become violence, but anger can also be the most powerful force of change and solutions that you could ever imagine. How do I know that? Because when I rolled tape in my car, because I had to connect with people about what was happening, that video now has been seen by over 700 people. And people are responding to that by saying, you know what, I never thought that way. You know what, you're right. I need to put something in my car not only for my own emergency, but to help other people as well. Thank you for giving me a chance to rethink how I relate to the people I see. And with the storms that we've had, 42 inches of snow, all right, everybody's in need. If somebody is walking, even if they look okay, guess what? They're freezing. because they don't probably have a car, or they got just dropped off by the bus, all right? So we can take our blinders off today and allow the law of oneness and love to activate what's ours to do. What was mine to do as a result of that? I put together a very fast fundraiser on GoFundMe. I put that online. What comes in? $275 the next day, bam. So I talked to Duke Russell and I say, hey, where should I go? I want to buy some hand warmers and whatnot. He says, go out to AIH. Now, all of this is relevant to the point of this sharing with you this morning, because when you follow your heart, all right, it always activates divine right action and divine right time. And think of all the steps I took from the moment I woke up on Sunday that had me in that moment at the right time. That I was at that car right then and there when Paul was walking. That's how it works. That's how Spirit knows you're a live wire and it can channel itself through you. You're in alignment with the highest frequency, and you open up that space that allows this divine expression that is awake, aware, and alive, and always looking for an outlet to pour itself through. That really was profound to me. And it happened again when I went to AIH. People say, what would Jesus do? Jesus would have went to AIH. And would have done the same thing I was allowed to do because of people's donations. But my friend Duke says to me, there's this guy there, I don't know his name, he's African American, and he is the one to try to find. So I get to AIH, new location, big store, I'm walking around, seeing all these things, and I hear from behind me, can I help you? There are no accidents or coincidences. Guess who's standing behind me? Aziel, which is a biblical name, and I think the biblical definition of his name is the one showing the way. So I say, oh, this is who I am, this is who Duke is, blah, blah, blah. So he says, yeah, let me help you. So here's this gorgeous exchange that's happening. Now, what is true for Aziel? Aziel was going to do something for the community of his life anyway. But instead, in that moment, he joins with me in my community, and together we multiply our givingness in community, in the store right then and there. He goes ahead and buys 30 gloves, $120, and it gives me a store discount, and I end up walking out with 2 boxes of toe warmers, 2 boxes of hand warmers, 30 gloves, and I am just like, wow, am I in the right place at the right time doing the work of love? Yes, absolutely. And so now my desire is to help people who are interested in figuring out how to do this, because I went downtown and I worked on Friday night. So I put a glove in my bag and I put some warmers in there, and I come around the corner to the PAC where the coffee shop is, and there are 4 people there. One doesn't have gloves. I stop. Hi. Can I give you a pair of gloves? That would be great. Boom, puts them on. Can I give you guys some warmers? Yeah, listen, I'll be back here on Sunday around 2:30. Bring your friends, I'll have more of these things to give it out. Guy walking down the middle of the street. I just stop in the middle of the street. I get out of the car. Do you need some warmers? Yeah. That would be great. Give them away. Simple. Simple, simple, simple gestures go a long way to someone who doesn't have a place to stay at night. We're getting ready to go below zero. I want to encourage you to maybe today run to the store, grab some warmers or whatever you can do. Have them in your car and just give them away without any need to know why or how they're going to use it, because I was all about, let me open this for you, let me put you in the, and Duke said, you know what, you don't really know. They may want to save it for later. Oh, okay. What do I know about what's going to happen when I leave that person? All I know is that I have an intention to help people in whatever way I can this winter. And I'm so grateful for it. Because you see, when I was going through my grief and loss and I was completely annihilated, I was looking for people to come to me and create community, because I didn't have it like I have it now. It's taken 2.5, almost 3 years to rebuild my inner life, to be available now, to be of service now that I have served and taken care of myself. So if that's where you are, then this isn't your moment to get on this particular train. It's going to come back around again. Maybe you'll be in a different place then. Maybe your needs will be more fulfilled because of you receiving the gesture of community, and you'll be able to step into the role in a new and fresh way. So you just do what you can with what you have right now. But I'm here to help us utilize our 40-plus years of spiritual growth and evolution in a way that's real and tangible. And that's why last week, when I was Prac of the Day, and Christina this week, we keep saying, come out, bring friends, see each other, rebuild community. COVID annihilated community. COVID tore community apart. And we have an opportunity to rebuild it in small but significant ways. And the other thing I want to say is that for me, the original sin is a belief in separation. The original sin is a belief in separation. This is why I don't watch the media, because the media is all about separation. In my personal upbringing, my personal religious experience was about separation. The greatest sin that I can imagine is being told that I am separate from the God of my understanding, let alone that I am that thing. So be mindful of the programming, the narratives, and the outer sources that want to keep us in separation. Because there is a reason for that, and I feel there is an agenda for that. But mostly, it's not true. It's not spiritually true. It's not spiritually true. Because I could have been one of those people, and I say this without judgment, I really do. I could have been one of those people that just got in the car and either didn't see Paul or made a judgment about Paul and took off. I'm sure I was that person, but I wasn't that person that night. So when the law of oneness and love takes you by the heart and shakes you, be grateful for that. Because this is the time to wake up to these programs that keep us separate from each other. At least that's what's happening for me. The common unity we have between us is the belief that back behind the appearance, we are all made up of the same stuff. And when we heal our separation from ourselves, good place to start, we all have parts of ourselves left on the side of the road. We get to go back and forgive ourselves and put ourselves back into our own hearts. Then we get to look out and do that massive forgiveness. Use Wednesday's solstice ritual at home or here. Go for the big healing. And if you need to, Ram Dass, I love you, I forgive you, and I can't interact with you right now. That's the beauty of love. Love in and of itself is a presence. It's a feeling state. It is the highest frequency that there is. It is the juice of all creation. And you can activate it in the form of expressiveness. But in and of itself, it's a real powerful thing. All life is bound together by one common law of love. And I appreciate Aaron and the choir today because they just had every perfect song to prepare us. See, you use the word marinate, right? If you allow the outer world to dictate to you what's true, then you're allowing your mind and your heart to marinate in that narrative. And whether you're conscious of it or not, you end up going about, I end up going about my life absorbed in that falsehood. However, when you allow yourself to be marinated, what does that mean? Meditation, contemplation, walking in nature. I mean, what a time to just light a candle and sit in the dark, right? And to just break the cords from the stimulation of life, to get back to yourself, to check in with your heart, and to pray, where am I in separation with myself, my family, my friends, my coworkers, community, humanity, and be willing to go for the healing. Because if every person in this room and those watching did that, if we went ahead and healed our own separation, if that was our New Year's resolution, that we were going to be mindful, we were going to be on it, we were going to be awake to our own, and gently begin the healing of that, wow. Wow, right? That is the new earth. That is the new way. That is the new design for living. So I want to leave you with the same quote that we started with, because I think now maybe it might feel different to you. It is well to remember that the enlightened, that would be you. You're there. Don't let your mind tell you you've got to do X, Y, and Z to be enlightened. You're already there. That the enlightened in every age have taught that back of all things, this podium, a grain in the sand, the planets in the sky, all things, the snow, I know. But that's true. Back of all things, there is one unseen cause. This is so great. When I read this last night, I thought, wow. In studying the teachings of the great thinkers, both men and women, we find that a common thread runs through all, and that is the thread of unity. And here it is. There is no record of any deep thinker of any age who has taught duality. We don't get up here and say there's two. We don't get up here and say there's you and me, us and them. But that's what's out there. That's the old programming that we're here to wake up to today and heal our place in it, to step out of that program and step into a new program, a program of oneness, a program of integrating all that we know to be true in our hearts and in our minds, and then from a place of congruency, having our actions and our intentions mirror that state of oneness. So let's take a deep breath and exhale all of that. And let's take another deep breath and let all that go, knowing that's what is yours to know, what is yours to remember, what is yours to do is staying with you right now. And let us move into the law of oneness and utilize what we call affirmative prayer as a means to activate this intelligence and the stuff of this intelligence specifically, so that by law we can experience the change internally. And because of the way creation works, when our thoughts and our feelings and our words are congruent, it must be that there is a shift in the outer world of effects. We may not see it in our lifetime, we may not even see it in the moment, but we know something is being generated by the power of the spoken word. So I want to ask you right now to, in your own way, activate that field of love right where you're, right where you are, right where you're seated, right where you're standing, wherever you are watching this. And sense and feel yourself as the vibrational frequency of love. Yeah, if you want to put your hand on your heart to remind yourself where the center is, that's great. But it runs throughout the entirety of your body and beyond, where we have like an 8-foot field around us, right? And so from this place of oneness, not just with the stuff and intelligence of the universe, not just with each other, but with all life everywhere, we recognize that we are this love. We recognize that we have a direct line to this divine broadcast that is personally speaking to and through us, that has already gone out before us and already knows where we could be the most beneficial to humanity. And what a beautiful thing that right here and right now we are committing ourselves to being in this law of oneness, to seeking the unity of all life, using our senses not to see separation, but to see the unity of all life. And to realizing that it's our part, we have a part in this thing we call community, the common unity of all life. And so from this place of oneness, I speak the word. I offer the universe a mold to fill. And let us start with homelessness. I know that there is a power greater than ourselves that is seeking to use us to not only assist these people right here and right now today in whatever way we can, but is using our minds and our hearts as a means to activate a solution. And we're open to that. Now that we know this is ours to do and we say yes to that, we're open and we actually ask, use me, help me be the light and the way during this season. I speak the word around this thing we call health, because we know that back behind the appearance of dis-ease or broken bones or whatever the situation may be that is real, we know back behind it that there is a perfect template. It's hard for the mind to reconcile that, but when we go into the heart space, it's already there as an understood truth. And so I call forth for anyone who's experiencing pain or dis-ease, the healing of their own consciousness, of their own separation from their own perfection, from that original template of wholeness. And for whatever other area in our lives that is on the altar of our heart today. And as Christina says, if not our own, there is so much unfolding right now, because this is what happens when we are in a revolutionary and evolutionary moment like we are in right now. This is what happens when we wake up to the truth that we are the thing itself. We are the light and the way. And we say yes to using our lives to be the expression of love, oneness, unity, and community. And so with a grateful heart now, we let this go. We let it go knowing that something now picks it up, takes it up, fulfills it, does for us what we can't do. We give the mold, and the thing itself is the how. And we simply bear witness and give thanks for how it all works. So together, let us affirm that we believe in this truth by saying together, and so it is. Thank you.